Hey, what's going on, boys and girls? It's Christopher James here with a special late-night edition of Cage Talk with Christopher James. I did one earlier from the car. Earlier today, I had Artem Lobov and Jason Knight on for my regular broadcast, a little afternoon show. You can go back and check it out on Facebook and on YouTube. I'll put up the link for the YouTube show later on. But I'm back tonight to continue the discussion on UFC 249 and the cancellation of an event that the world was looking forward to. And I'm going to tell you, man, I'm pissed. Do me a favor and please share the broadcast everywhere as we get down and dirty with this right now. I'm going to go to my phone real quick and share this everywhere as well so we can get this conversation rolling. If you're there, please, drop in some comments. I can see the comments here on the show. Bummer that Dana caved and canceled. But hold on, we're going to talk about that there in a second, Daniel, because it's not just that Dana caved and canceled just to cave. There's a lot that goes into the relationship they have with ESPN and Disney. And even that right now with WWE, that's not necessarily a given that they're going to continue to be able to do that. So, So here we go. Earlier today was announced that Disney and ESPN, the top executive at ESPN, the top executive at Disney, no, Sean, they are not his bosses. Let's be clear on that. They didn't buy the UFC. They're his broadcast partners. So Dana's bosses are the guys from Endeavor. So anyway, they announced it earlier today that the event was canceled because of the big wigs at ESPN and Disney. After getting pressure from the governor of California and a couple of Congress people from California. Exactly. The Disney connection. That's right. This is how it went down. Disney wants to protect its brand. So they decided that they were going to ask Dana White to step down, and Dana White was very humble in his approach to answering the questions. Now, I don't know if you guys can see the Twitter feed, but let me that I'm sharing from my website. It's my the tweets that I retweeted. Now, there's a couple of ones I want to highlight. Let me bring them up here. So, first of all, Dave Doyle MMA, made a snide comment. I'm glad that Malky Kawa, first round manager, told him to shut the fuck up. At least Dana tried to get shit done. So a couple of tweets from Dana. Dana, first of all, delivered a message to the fighters. Brett Okamoto tweeted this from his interview. Don't worry about the financial part of this. You're going to get the fights on your contract. I'm going to make things right for the people who are willing to fight next weekend. Let's see what else we got here. Another reporter, Michael David Smith, tweeted out, from what I've gathered, there's an element within ESPN that is embarrassed to be associated with Dana White. They've lost when they tried to raise other issues where they think the UFC reflects poorly on ESPN, Greg Hardy being one of those issues. Although ESPN had no problem reporting on Greg Hardy, so I don't understand if they're pissed off that Dana brought in Greg Hardy, yet they were talking about Greg Hardy all day long and they loved having him on their network with football and everything, then they're a bunch of hypocrites. So let's just throw that out there. And Dana White promises he'll be the first event back, regardless of recent postponements. We'll be the first sport back still. We're getting ready for Fight Island. Fight Island is where it's all going to happen. Fight Island is definitely breaking down. So let me get back off here. So right now, the event is canceled. All the subsequent events that were supposed to take place at Tai Chi Palace are also canceled, meaning that the next time the UFC promotes an event, it's going to be on Fight Island. And Fight Island is something that Dana is really working on. It's going down. It's going to happen. And, you know, the only thing we're worried about with that Fight Island thing is if Carlette Ewell is still watching, it's not just about the dollar. It's just not. So, and I'll explain that to you in just a second. But Fight Island is happening. The problem is that they're still probably 3 to 5 weeks away from completing the infrastructure. And again, we don't know what the infrastructure actually consists of. Do they have to build a venue to host the event or the events? Is there housing for the fighters and the team that's going to have to go to this island and live there apparently while they host events? Is there a medical facility on site, or are they going to have to make a makeshift, triage building for hospitalizations in case a fighter gets really injured and can't fly back to the mainland for medical treatment? There's so many unanswered questions about it. But the first one I want to jump into, ESPN and Disney, they've done a phenomenal job with promoting and broadcasting the UFC. With that being said, the fact that they're caving to the governor's pressure and forcing Dana and the UFC to back off an event, if I'm Dana White, even though, publicly Dana said, they've been good to him, how could I not do the event? How can I say no to them? Well, it's really easy, and he's saying no publicly, but we all know Dana White. Dana White is seething right now. And, business is business, but, there's going to come a point where Dana White is going to get even with these guys. I don't know how, I don't know when, but I do know it'll happen. Dana White doesn't forget things. And, Dana White was just trying to put on an event. The UFC has a contractual obligation with ESPN to host 42 events this year. Now, we're this far in. Hey, Joshua, we're this far in, and they've only done 7 events. There are 38 weeks left in the year. Now, we're not going to see a fight for at least 4 weeks. That means we're going to have 34 weeks left to put on 35 events. So the bonus is when they do get back to business and Fight Island kicks off, I am expecting to see some weeks where we get 2 UFC events, a UFC Fight Night, a UFC ESPN card, a UFC ESPN Plus card, and then our pay-per-view numbers as well. So we are going to get a glut of fights, and the longer it takes, there might be weeks where we end up with 3 fight night events because Dana promised that every fighter under contract are going to get the fights that are on their contract that they're supposed to get this year. I'm also happy to say that Dana, as I stated earlier, is going to compensate those that were willing to fight this weekend. Somebody made a comment on that tweet when Dana said they're good. Yeah, and the people that said no because of the coronavirus, you're just going to fuck them over. He's not fucking them over. They weren't fighting this weekend. What should they get? He's not going to shit on them, but they're not going to get paid for saying no. Why would they? The ones that said yes and were willing to go are going to get paid. That's what Dana's saying, and he's absolutely right. Rose Namajunas pulled out not because she wanted to, although I was still shocked that she was even on the card because we've known over the years that Rose and been very public about she has issues, some anxiety, some depression issues. And with the coronavirus and the hype train of fear that has been shoved down our throats by the mainstream media, somebody like Rose is probably bugging out about it. My heart goes out to her because it's been reported that she's had 2 family members pass away due to the coronavirus. So, she had a legitimate reason to pull out. Family members died. She wants to be there for the rest of the family. And obviously she's worried about contracting the virus. I sit here right now and I watch and I'm looking at the social media and I'm reading Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and all of them. And, the outcry of people that want this event to go down versus the outcry of those that don't. I would also say this. there are some members of the media out there that are fucking like jumping around going, yeah, that's right, it shouldn't happen, who's this fucking dickhead? What the fuck is his name? Hold on a second. Where the fuck is it? Lucas Middlebrook? That guy's just a fucking dick, talking all this shit about the UFC all the time. And then when he asks for an interview with Dana White and they don't respond, he wonders why. And then he talks more shit. And there's other media members too that have been, relishing in this, Dana White and the UFC getting shut down because they've bought into the fear so badly that they don't know how to think straight and they don't understand that the world needs to get back to work. So I'm going to say this to all the fighters out there, UFC, Dana White, anybody that's a UFC fighter. I want you guys to pay close attention to the media members that are enjoying this, that are, saying that you shouldn't be able to work, even though you're a grown adult making a choice and willing to do it. They feel that it's their right to tell you can or can't work. So to all those people that are shitting on the UFC and shitting on Dana White for trying to put on this event, and basically that means they're shitting on you fighters out there that were going to go do it because they're acting like, they're coming across with this, what's the word I'm looking for? With this accusation that you guys are just as guilty and complicit in this as Dana White. Yeah, as far as I know, Joshua, it is true. I'm not going to ever, try to question when somebody says that people in their family died. And if it was fake, wow, she's done. So, but Rose ain't that girl. Rose isn't going to make up shit. But I want you fighters, like I said, all you fighters that are watching or will watch this later, I want you to remember when these reporters, and I want you to make yourselves a list, when these reporters out there that are, covering the sport, when we get back to business, all of a sudden they want to be your friend again and support you, and they want an interview, tell them to go fuck themselves with a big capital F. And I mean that, listen. And I'm not saying that because I want you guys to all come to me. There's fighters I'm never going to get to, at some point. But maybe I will. But here's the thing. If they're shitting on your job, while they're sitting behind a keyboard doing their job and think they have this power and this juice and they're all high and mighty, sitting on their fucking throne with their fucking keyboards thinking they're fucking something special, they wouldn't be shit if they didn't have a sport to cover. They want to crap on your ability to do your job. They want to crap on your boss and the company you work for. Fuck them. All of them. Starting with Lucas Middlebrook and every other asshole that wants to fucking crap on the UFC and every other asshole that wants to crap on the fighters that were willing to do this, saying that they're being selfish and they're more worried about their paycheck. You know what? What's wrong with them being worried about their paycheck? They got families to feed, man. They don't have guaranteed contracts like athletes in the NFL or the Major League Baseball or the NBA or the NHL. They don't fight. They don't fucking make a living. And hats off also, before I forget, to Tai Chi Palace for sticking by Dana White. Dana White said he's going to bring a huge event there, a big pay-per-view, because they were willing to just go ahead and do the show and let Dana do his event there, even with all the pressure. So, but yeah, so hats off to Tai Chi Palace. If you're going to go out to California and hit a casino, that's the one you go to, because they were there for the UFC and for the fighters. If you're going to follow media guys and follow the sport of mixed martial arts, choose wisely. Make sure you choose to listen to or view or read the work of a journalist who understands what this is all about. The pandemic, don't get me wrong, is bigger than all of us. But, the numbers, have kind of chilled out a little bit, and we're going to see some more people, test positive as more tests become available. There'll probably be a few more people die. But I bet you at the end of the year, when this is all passed, more people have died from the regular flu and other things than the coronavirus. So that's my belief. That's my take. But if you're an athlete, like I said, or you work with the UFC, even if you don't work with the UFC and you're just a fighter on your way up, you fight at Bellator, you fight somewhere else, you know what you do? You tell those reporters that fucking shit on, because they're not just shitting on the UFC. I want you guys to understand that. They're shitting on MMA. The reaction wouldn't have been any different if it was Bellator or ONE or, Island Fights or LFA or Titan. there's people out there that think they know better, and they should be able to tell us what to do. You know, I'm here trying to support the athletes that support me. You know what I'm saying? They come on my show, they do interviews with me, they do chats with me on live streams, and they've entertained me and they've provided me with a living for a while. You know, I have some sponsors that are coming on board here on my show because of the athletes that come on my show. So I want them to work, and I support them all. You know, there's fighters that I don't like, but I still want them to work. You know, it's not, you know, even if I don't like them, I still think they're talented, but some people just rub me the wrong way. But they should still have the right to work. This is America, isn't it? And it's okay, because Dana White is going to circumvent the whole system. He's going to take these guys out to an island. Hopefully it's something really tropical where they can enjoy it, fucking, you know, maybe being, you know, cut off from the world, you know, and maybe they'll have some social media and stuff going on. I'm guessing there's going to be a huge internet tower put up out there. Maybe it'll be 5G, so all the fucking idiots stay away because they think 5G is the cause of this whole coronavirus. And I just want to address that too, jumping off a little bit. There are people out there that think that 5G technology is what's causing this coronavirus and has something to do with it. Let me tell you something. There's 187 countries in the world that have been affected with the coronavirus, and people are dying in those countries. There are 5 countries in the world that are using 5G. So, yeah, those 5 countries using 5G, and it's not even like up and running yet and fully running yet. So use your fucking head, people. Use your fucking heads. But this is bullshit. The UFC should be going on, you know, in a few days. I had Nico Price on yesterday. So excited to fight. And now he's not going to be able to go. I hate that shit. It sucks. Kama Worthy, Sam Alvey were on my show the other night. Both guys that were scheduled to fight. And you can check out their Facebook page. Sam put up a really nice message to the UFC. And what I love about this is the fighters are rallying behind Dana White. They say that the fighters are saying that they stand with Dana because Dana stood for them. You know, it's fucking awesome that they're all there with Dana and they want to, you know, ride out with Dana. And God bless them all. You know, Carla Esparza wasn't even fighting on 249, but she was supposed to have a fight a week or two after. Got canceled, then they were going to put her on another card, and now this happened. And, you know, of course, she's out there touting Dana White because he deserves it. You know, this man's been going through shit and hell every single day because the rules changed every single hour. So we'd have to make adjustments on the fly. Yeah, Juan Adams was on late last week. I had Juan Adams on. The Kraken. He signed with Aries. So who knows when he's going to be fighting, but he signed a 4-fight deal with them, and he's getting paid. So, but, you know, the fighters are standing with Dana because Dana was standing for the fighters. And I love that. I love to see that. I love to hear about that. You know, the Twitter feeds are filled with, you know, Facebook posts and Instagram posts with athletes saying, you know, thank you, Dana, for doing everything you did. You know, Dana probably slept like, you know, 15 hours in the last fucking 3.5 weeks because he's trying to figure out how to keep his company running, keep his fighters working, and provide some entertainment for the world. And don't get me wrong, there's money involved. You know, when they don't do an event, they lose money because, you know, if the contract with ESPN, 42 events, they've only done 7, they've got to do 35 more before the end of the year. Now, I'm going to guess that, you know, ESPN and Disney are going to probably, you know, have to make adjustments on this deal if they can't. Yeah, but go back and watch it, dude. It's on my page somewhere. He told me all about his pet fish, Wuhan. He loves Wuhan. But Dana White and the company have an obligation. I'm guessing since, especially at least, you know, this one was canceled by ESPN and Disney, who again are a bunch of sanctimonious, fucking self-serving, fucking right on the Democrat side. I hate them. I hate them all. I wish there was a bigger platform so when you know Dana wanted to get out, he could just say get out. Question. So let me pop this question up on the feed. Russell Leak wants to know, what do I say about the Association of Ringside Physicians saying combat sports should be canceled until this is sorted out? I say Why? Again, if the athletes could be tested, which they would have been, and if there is an actual protocol and medicinal therapy out there that's proven successful for those that do contract the disease, being the hydrochloroquine with the Z-Pack and the zinc, and I'll share something later on my page, a nice study, a legitimate study, then why not let them fight? Listen, I understand doctors are probably going to be a little more cautious under this, but when can we go back to living? When can we go back to doing stuff? When can we, trust us, that we know what we're doing? This can't go on forever, so it's time to get back to work. Oh, thank God for this. But anyway, if you guys got any more comments, hit me up with them. I tagged some fighters. I don't know if they wanted to come on or not because, they're all bummed out. But I've tagged a few of the guys on this post that I wanted to come on. I've talked with earlier in the week. Jorgen De Castro. He's supposed to fight Greg Hardy. That fight, obviously, all the fights are canceled. But, man, there were so many good matchups on this card. And, again, it's a little too much. Josh, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate that. And you guys, make sure you follow me on, subscribe to my YouTube page if you don't mind. If you go back to my Facebook page after this show, you'll see a couple of my videos where I shared the YouTube link. Go to the YouTube link, go to my page, subscribe. Tell your friends, tell your neighbor, tell your mama. Yeah, tell your mama to subscribe to my channel. I'm going to grow this thing really big, and we're going to start getting some more big interviews. I'm going to really bust my ass here to take this show to the next level. And I'm coming for the heads of all these sanctimonious cocksucking media members that think they fucking know something. Fucking motherfuckers. Dana White said a couple of weeks ago, most of the media don't have the balls or the courage to do anything that these fighters do. And we got fucking ridiculously fucking out of shape fucking assholes, pussies, if you will, talking about the sport of MMA. The fucking toughest sport in the world is being covered by a bunch of fucking pussies. Life on Mars, no cure for corona, so no more UFC. There is a cure for corona. If you pay attention and look at the studies out there that people surviving because of, and by the way, Life on Mars, watching on YouTube, appreciate you checking out the show, by the way. But there is a cure. There is a medicinal therapy, a protocol, if you will, that has been proven to be successful. Hydrochloroquine, 200 milligrams twice a day, a Z-Pack, for a 5-day cycle, and zinc, 200 milligrams once a day. The patients that are taking that therapy are within 4 hours to 5 hours, and at the longest, like 12 hours, are able to breathe again. And within 72 hours, they're pretty much back to normal. So it does work. There is a cure out there. And, it's not some stupid virus that's going to be fucking given to us by Bill fucking Gates. This all feels like a crazy science fiction movie where somebody created, a virus to take over the world. There was a spy movie with a British spy. Now I can't remember the name of the movie. If somebody else can help me out with that, I'll be really happy. I'm a young kid. And yeah, after they build the island, if you guys can tell me the name of that movie I'm thinking of, where this woman took over and she shot drugs out over everybody, and she had the island, and she had Elton John singing, she captured him and everything. But after the island build, no audience and no broadcasting. Yeah, there'll be no audience. There'll be a broadcast. When they go to Fight Island, okay, they will have ESPN broadcasting these events. I want to see it. And even though Disney and ESPN, fucking pulled out this time, I guarantee you that they're not going to stay on that tone. They're not going to, continue to say, oh, no, we're not going to do anything, because they know they have to make let me see something there. They have to make money, all kind of stuff. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this all shakes out, because, I think that ESPN and Disney have just damaged their relationship with the UFC. And like I said, there's this guy, Michael David Smith, said that he believes that there's an element with the ESPN that is embarrassed to be associated with Dana White, and that they've lost when they've tried to stop him doing certain things that they think reflect poorly on ESPN, like signing Greg Hardy. Why? When he was in the NFL and these accusations were going around, you had him on your channel every day. You were talking about him, creating viewers, making money on revenue because of him being on your network. And now you want to get all sanctimonious and full of yourself? Right there. That's bullshit. It's hypocritical. It was okay to cover him when he played in the NFL, but now that he's in the UFC, now he's more of a monster. Come on, man. Stop it. Just stop it. And, I'm appalled at the behavior of some people. Yeah, Disney, ESPN say no fights, though, right now in the States. And listen, here's the thing. Dana has to do 42 events for them. They signed a deal that they will broadcast 42 events. They asked them to take a couple weeks off, but they have to honor the contract. If they don't honor the contract, believe you me, somehow, some way will come along, whether it's Fox again, they'll just dump into it. But they have to contractually either let the UFC host these events, or they're just going to have to pay him anyway, from my understanding. They don't want to just pay the UFC for events that they're not doing. But again, once they go out to Fight Island, there is no jurisdiction. It's in international waters. They will, bring out their own commission of people that they assemble. They'll bring out referees, and they're going to bring out the referees that they always use. You'll see Dan Mergliotta possibly out there. You'll see Blake Grice out there, probably maybe Gary Copeland, Herb Dean. The usual suspects. So I'm not Mike Beltran. All those guys. They will go out there because they want to make a living too. And they will fly out to the island and they will referee the fights. They'll bring out judges that do this on a regular basis, and they'll bring them out to the island, and the judges will do the show. And I don't know how they'll figure out how they're going to sanction their own event, because they do self-sanction in other countries. It's not like a new thing when they travel. An international show, some cities and countries don't have a commission, so the UFC is forced to self-sanction. And, this time they're going to choose to self-sanction, and they're going to go out there and they're going to put on fights, and the athletes are going to get back to work. And guess what? I believe Dana White when he says that he will be the first sports league, the first major league sport to get back to business. He'll be there before Major League Baseball. He'll be there before the NFL. He'll be there before the NHL and the NBA as well. Dana White, man, what a true gangster. He tried everything. He did everything in his power to make it happen, and he pulled it off. Everybody said he couldn't get a venue. He got a fucking venue. He couldn't get fighters. He filled the card, and there were fucking an overflow of fighters that wanted to fight on the card, but we only had one card. Everything that he said he could do until they stepped in. I don't know where Fight Island is. He hasn't disclosed the location. I heard a rumor that Jeffrey Epstein's island. I don't know. It just sounds a little silly to me, but maybe. But who knows? But again, Dana White said it's Fight Island is happening, and but they're building infrastructure out there. And again, as I detailed earlier in the broadcast, we don't know what building an infrastructure actually involves because we don't know the island. Do they need to build housing or a hotel? Is there living quarters already there on the island for the fighters and their coaches and the corners and production and Team UFC? Is there a medical facility, which is important to have? Is there, grocery facilities or everybody bring in all the food when they fly over. There's so many unanswered questions that we don't have the details on. And I'm going to guarantee you right now, with the way some of the media has been treating Dana White and the UFC, there's going to be a lot of reporters like this Lucas asshole I was talking about earlier that are going to be shunned by the UFC. Dana White has shunned media members before. And at this point, who does he need? You know what I'm saying? Who does he need to give, ringside or cage side seats to? ESPN, that's his broadcast partner. They're the biggest sports network in the world. At this point, he doesn't need MMA Junkie or Bloody Elbow or, MMA Fighting or any of these, publications or sites that, are going to shit on what he's trying to do. So it's going to be interesting. It could be like an Abu Dhabi style building arena. Absolutely. So, he don't need them as much as they need him at this point, 20 years ago, Dana White really needed the media, and he still was the same Dana White. Everybody remembers how he banned Loretta Hunt from events. He just did that. He's like, all right, fuck you. You ain't talking about the right stuff. You can't come to my event anymore. That's his show. It's his prerogative. He has the right to refuse entry to anybody he chooses, and he flexed his muscle. We've all seen the famous battles with Ariel Helwani, and now Ariel works for ESPN. And ever since he got that job, he's become a little arrogant, to be honest with you, about, what he can and can't say. And, when he puts stuff out, sometimes I think it just fucking gets under Dana's skin. And I think Dana just wants to grab him by the face and smash him. For all my fellow members of the media, don't make yourself the fucking story. If you're a member of the media and you're getting into a feud with any sports team manager or owner, and you're making it about you, you're not doing your job properly. When I do my interviews, I don't make it about me. I talk to the people like I talk to anybody. I have a conversation, but it's about them. It's not about me. It's about them. I hope people remember me because they like the way I do my interviews, but it's about the fighter or the baseball player or the mayor if you're interviewing a politician or whatever it is. It's not about the journalist, although some journalists, think it's all about them. Back in the day, the 50s, everything, radio DJs, early 60s, they were treated like gods, like they were the end-all be-all. They were a bunch of fucking guys who were smoking weed and fucking drinking and getting fucked up. And they were looked at as the important person in the radio station, because they had people listening. So, everybody had to kiss their ass. Never should have been that way. It should have been about the music. I get you want a personality that attracts viewers. I get it all. But it still has to be about the viewers. Everybody isn't going to be Howard Stern. Howard Stern is a unique brand. You know what I mean? How many people have really done it the way Howard Stern has? Granted, there's broadcasters out there. Bubba the Love Sponge. He built a pretty solid empire. Yeah, Dana, I would do Dana's media. And the funny thing is, Joshua, is I've been critical of Dana before in the past. There's been stuff he's said and done that I didn't agree with. But over the last, I'd say 3.5, 4 years, I decided to take a different perspective when it came to Dana White and the UFC. And I had to really change my view to look at what he was doing, and after all these years, what he was trying to accomplish and, everything that he has accomplished. And then, you hear stories from fighters saying that, during interviews I do, where they say, I was in a bad spot, this happened, that happened. I was hoping a fight bonus, or I was hoping to get a win, and now I don't have the money for this. And, all of a sudden they get a fucking wire transfer to their bank account, and Dana hooks them up. It's not a rare occurrence, and it's definitely not as rare as some of you think. Dana does take care of his fighters. So you just don't hear about it all because Dana's not making that stuff about him. He doesn't want the accolades. He doesn't want people to go, oh, Dana's such a nice guy. Look what he did for his fighter. I think Dana actually relishes in the role of fucking a little bit adversarial with the fans and the media sometimes. I think it fucking just, gets him jacked up a little bit. I think he likes toying with them. And good for him. He's all right. He's earned the right, and it's funny. Some of these reporters like this, Lucas Middlebrook wants an interview. Why should you get an interview, dude? You do nothing but shred on the UFC or Dana White on a regular basis. You're trying to disrupt this company by, trying to, get a union started. When the fighters have clearly made it known they don't want a union or association. How many efforts have been made and how many have succeeded? 0 have succeeded. So it doesn't matter how many happen. None of them are going to be successful. That's already been proven. But this guy still tries to, stir the pot and, grow his name off, his take on the UFC and unions, trying to act like he's a fighter's friend. Friends of the fighters don't talk shit about fucking them fighting. So if you're a media member and you got this relationship with the fighter and you think they should respect you, why don't you respect their body of work? You want them to respect yours? They don't tell you can't work, just because your job is sitting behind a desk and typing or talking from your safe space doesn't mean that you should be given a pass, and doesn't mean that you have the right to tell these fighters that they shouldn't be fighting, oh, you're looking out for the best interest. No, you're trying to create a story about yourself and, say something really controversial so people talk about you. Other than Middlebrook, and there's other ones out there that are guilty. I'm not going to mention anybody else, but he pissed me off. I don't want to give him any free pop, so I'm going to stop saying his name. But so the Dick, we're just going to, if I say it's the Dick, we're talking about the Dick. Well, that's what we're talking about. I know many of you are disappointed, like I am. I know the fighters are all disappointed. Well, Joshua, reach out to Dana on Twitter and tell him he needs to hire me to do his media. I'll move to Vegas tomorrow. But at the end of the day, it's I don't know. But today, when the announcement was made, the only thing I heard was this. It was like just a big old bomb just going off in my head. It was not a good time. Like I said, I immediately started thinking of the fighters that I interviewed this week that were all excited to get ready to fight that aren't going to be able to now because somebody else felt that it was their right to tell other people when they can or can't work. And this is even the government. I mean, the government reached out to Disney, blah, blah, blah. Bunch of fucking, I'm not even going to say it. Yeah, I wonder if they can land planes on the island as well or if they're shuttled too. Again, these are logistical questions that we don't have the answer to because Dana certainly isn't going to talk about it now. And you watch some of those people that sit in those coveted media seats. When I watch at events, when I go to, when I get media passes, I'm stuck up in like a room off the floor. Like I have to watch on a monitor. I can't even be at the ring or at the cage, at the octagon to get the feeling of the crowd. I have to try to make it up as I go. You know what I mean? So I can't recreate the feeling that you get when you're sitting next to the octagon and watching a fight, and then shit starts to get real, and you just feel it. Those punches, those kicks, the submission, you feel it in here. I mean, at least I do. And that's it. So I don't even know what else to say, except to the folks at Disney and ESPN, in my opinion, you made the wrong move. The folks at the UFC are your partner, and just as valuable as you are to them, in their mind, you should treat them with the same value that they treat you. You're partners in this. You don't own the UFC. You're a partner. You pay for their content because you wanted their content because you knew you could generate a shit ton of money off them. Well, they're not making any money right now. It's going to, bite you because you still have to pay them, I believe. So I don't know what to say. I do want to say to all you folks out there, thank you for tuning in tonight. I appreciate y'all. I've had a long, long day. I went out and played disc golf early in the morning. I left here at 7:15 in the morning. Threw 18 holes, walked about 2 miles on the course. I think that's almost about as long a course as I've walked on. Came home, took a shower, ate a grilled cheese sandwich, did an hour long with Artem Lobov and Jason Knight of Bare Knuckle Fighting Championships because this is the 1-year anniversary of their first fight. They fought twice. They've each won one. And I'm going to call David Feldman, the president and owner of Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship, because I'm going to see if he will book them for the trilogy fight, but I want bare knuckle mixed martial arts. They both said they'd do it. They don't give a shit. They're here to compete. So I talked with them. Then I had to drive over to Ocoee, which is about 92 miles from my house, to get my filter. I now have this. So now when I go out in public, because I couldn't get a regular mask with my friend Josh Daniels. Again, thank you so much, brother. But yeah, so I'll be out tomorrow like this. I can't wait to get my shipped supplies, my shipped T-shirt and my starter kit. So I go buy groceries like this. There you go. But yeah, my buddy Josh Daniels gave me one for me and one for the wife. N95 filters. These will last me forever, so I'm not even sweating anymore. And I was really worried about it. But that's it, guys. So do me a favor. Be good to each other. Let's hope MMA here real soon. I know we all got, we always say keep these people in your thoughts and your prayers on your mind, but even if you take 30 seconds tonight to just, put up a post and say, to all the fighters that were supposed to fight at UFC 249, thank you for being willing to take the risk. We appreciate you. And, I think they'd like to hear that because, a lot of them are not in a good spot right now. Very unhappy, very sad, very upset. So, like I said, be good to each other, wash your hands, yada, 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 wear a mask like I have over here, yada, yada, yada. Tell the people at Disney, that you're pissed. Go to Twitter. Companies today, they have Twitters, and they don't want to piss off their Twitter followers or their Instagram followers. So if enough people say something to them, it usually causes to swerve their mentality on how to handle some stuff. So, maybe you start, tagging them on Twitter or on Instagram and call them out for being hypocrites, about stuff like Greg Hardy. He was all right when he was on the NFL and you were covering him then. Now he's in the UFC. It sounds like somebody maybe does have a problem with Dana White from inside the organization. And look, man, Dana's good at Dana. You knew that before signing the deal. Dana ain't going anywhere. Get used to it, and that's it. For you guys that participated in the chat tonight, man, I appreciate you guys being part of the show. Thank you, as I always say at the end of the show, thank you for letting me be a part of your life today and for you guys being a part of mine. That's what makes this all worth it. Until next time, I am Christopher James. You've been Caveside. Good night.